Everybody has a moment of truth, a time where they can fall and then they rise to the occasion. What was the moment of truth for Moshe Rabbeinu? At what point did he become the leader of the Jewish people? The epiphany could be when Hashem tells Moshe that you must go to Paro and tell him that if you don't let the Jewish people out, I'm going to take your firstborn men. And the very next pasuk after Hashem tells Moshe that he needs to go on that mission says that Vayihi baderech b'malon, he was on his way, and Hashem met him, Vayivakesh amito, and he asked to destroy him. The question is, what does that mean? He asked to destroy him. Hashem went to kill Moshe. Would it make sense, though, that after telling Moshe that he's going to lead the Jewish people against Paro, that he would then want to kill him? So the Gemara in Nedarim Lamed Aleph has two reasons why Moshe was culpable for death at that time. One is possibly because he didn't do the Milah. He didn't do the circumcision on his second son Eliezer timely. The second reason by Rebbe is that he was nisasik b'malon tchila. He did business matters before going on his way to do the Milah. The Aksava HaKabbalah, Rabbi Yaakov Tzvi Mecklenburg, explains that Vayivakesh Hamito doesn't mean that Hashem went to try to kill Moshe, but rather Moshe went and wanted to kill himself because he was so despondent and despair that he wasn't able to complete a mitzvah to its entirety. But the idea is that he was struggling with himself, which is really a novel way to understand this whole episode. And this is very reminiscent of another epiphany of the other Jewish leader, which is Yaakov. Yaakov, when he was Vayivaser Yaakov Levado, he was by himself. Vayevave Ish Imo, a man fought with him. That was the Malach Hashem, and that was or the Malach of Esav, and he fought with him and then hit him in the end. The epiphany of Yaakov is very similar to the epiphany of Moshe. Let's look at the wording. In the wording by Moshe, it says Vayihi baderech b'malon, that he was in the inn, meaning he was doing business. Vayifkesheu Hashem, Hashem met up with him and said, hey, you got to move on. Vatagar l'raglav, Tzipora took the circumcision and threw it at the feet of Moshe. That's what saved him. That is very reminiscent of what you'll see in the story of Yaakov, where it says, Vayivatzer Yaakov levado, he was by himself, and Rashi explains that he was attending to business, pachim ktanim, he was going back to retrieve objects. Vayevak ish imo, that the malach, again, just like Vayifkesheu Hashem, there was a man who fought with him. Vayaga b'kafirecho, it's very similar to how Tzipora threw the thing at his feet. He got hit in his feet. Side by side, you could see Vayivaser Yaakov levado, similar to Vayihi derech b'malon. Ishimo is similar to Hashem, and Vayaga b'kafirecho is similar Vataga l'raglav. What's the overall message? The overall message is that the leaders of the Jewish people, Yaakov and Moshe, they all have an epiphany. There's always a moment of truth where they could actually die, they could fail, or they could stand up and overcome their own anxieties and problems. And that's what happened with Yaakov, and that's what happened with Moshe. It's not all bad to have doubts. But what was it in the end that got Moshe to survive? Well, at the end, Tzipora takes Vataga l'raglav. She threw the piece of the circumcised flesh at the feet of Moshe. What is that? What's the idea of Vataga l'raglav? As the Ibn Ezra points out, the same lashon, the same language of Vataga, of l'raglav, of the Tzipora episode is seen by the dam of the Korban Pesach that was placed on the Shtei Mezuzos as what saved the Jewish people from Makas Bechoros. The idea is that it is the blood of the circumcision that enabled them to bring the Korban Pesach. They all had the Milah on the 14th of Nisan that year. And so it's the dam on the mezuzahs was actually representative of the dam Pesach and dam Milah together. That's what makes the Jewish people different and unique, and that gave Moshe the confidence that he could survive. Now we understand the episode, the epiphany of Moshe. Vayihi baderech b'malon. He had a moment. He was just confused in his mission. Vayinisasik b'malon tchila. Hashem met up with him. Vayivake Shamito, he wanted to die. He couldn't go along with it. Vatagar Laraglav Tzipora was the heroine that said, hey, you know what? The blood is what protects you. The blood of the circumcision, the blood of the Milah shows you that the Jewish people eventually will be special because of this, because they have this.